Sorry if this is long, there are many sides to this and I've been putting off reaching out for advice for a long time, so things keep happening and piling up. TBH, I'm not sure where to start / which parts are most relevant, but I'm really desperate for advice, so I want to lay everything out. I, 22F, met my boyfriend, 22M, last September when I moved into his off-campus neighborhood. We had a mutual friend who he lived with, which is how I was introduced to their friend group. For context, my roommates were full-time students / had jobs, whereas I had just moved out of my parents for the first time and was starting from scratch in a new city, finishing up one more community college class online. Looking back, I think I was kind of intimidated by my roommates' accomplished / busy lives as well as this big transition, and I gravitated towards hanging at the mutual friend's house where not everyone worked / studied full-time, and I felt less pressured while I felt out my new environment. I got along with everyone very well and was at the house almost every day. For weeks I saw my, now, BF extremely platonically. Not a thought crossed my mind about him in any other sense, but we meshed well and had lots of fun together. I observed him being the most respectful / easygoing of the group, never judgmental, somewhat of a peacemaker, and helping out the most around the house. He also consistently never let me walk home alone, but never tried flirting with me. I was extremely comfortable around him after some time and was freaked out when I noticed myself having thoughts like, I wish he would sit closer to me on the couch, or that I was mostly excited to come by just for him. I started to really value the small moments when it was just us watching something together or running an errand alone. Long story short, I eventually went out on a limb and invited him into my place one night, and we ended up talking for hours before innocently falling asleep together. This went on for days. We would be so giddy getting to know each other all night long and no one made a move. It was very sweet and I had never had something genuine like that with anyone before. Once we hooked up, it progressed very quickly and we fell into a super intense relationship within 2 months. I knew that I loved him very early on, although he said it first, which scared me because he was the first person to tell me that. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is technically my first real relationship ever. Okay, let me keep this moving. Over the course of the winter I observed him make impulsive / irresponsible decisions, majority concerning drinking irresponsibly. I think this was blurred for me at first. BC1. I wasn't around him 24/7 until we were dating. 2. I also was drinking more than usual in light of how much fun we were having going out together. 3. I didn't have a full understanding of his past drinking behavior. Once it became clear to me that this was a real problem, I expressed that many times and we began the cycle of working on it. I became so exasperated of the situation that I went completely sober by spring. We began to fight, each time culminating in a long, emotional talk that made me feel like there was hope to keep going because, above all, he understood me more than anyone in my 21 years ever had. We had so much in common, especially family / childhood trauma, that kept me sympathetic towards his coping habit. We had so much fun together, and there was also a very genuine, sweet, and vulnerable side to our relationship that I had never experienced. We both expressed intentions to grow together and support each other in getting it together. However, I began to feel an extra weight of keeping him accountable for his drinking habit and how it affected me. We managed to get to a place where it was mostly under control early summer, and I was starting to feel relieved and less anxious about our future. Our leases would end in August and both of our households were splitting up. Without going on another tangent, we both have complicated home lives, especially me, so going home was not an option. And like most college students, we were pretty broke. The idea of moving in together felt scary, but we thought we had a good idea of what that might be like since we spent nearly every day together. I can't believe I wrote this much already, but I could go on about how much serious shit, unrelated to drinking problem, we had been through together by this point, and it felt like if we could tackle those things, we could manage moving in together. I can't lie that I was feeling extremely desperate. 2. I couldn't afford a one-bedroom, nor could I return to my toxic household, and I was very turned off by moving in with strangers again. No shade, my first roommates were amazing, I just couldn't fathom getting that lucky again. We moved in together mid-October after many talks about what kind of stresses might come up sharing a home, how we could deal with them, how to divide housework, etc. I have to note it would be mostly me stressing these things. I think the transition was very draining for both of us, especially as we both struggle with unmedicated ADHD. I try my best to be mindful and manage mine, lists, calendars, organizing, but he only tries to manage his when I remind him to. I feel like I can't entirely trust him to just be on top of his own functioning, and he won't take his prescription because it pretty much turns him into a vegetable. His family is mental health positive and offers him support/therapy that he doesn't do, whereas my family is horribly uneducated on mental health and I don't even have health insurance. This makes me jealous and angry towards him. Since we moved in I had been losing my mind trying to get him to be a better partner in taking care of our old aka dusty house, but he just doesn't step up unless I spell it out for him, and even then I become a nag. It is absolutely draining me and we fight more than ever. Now his drinking is starting to spike again. Sometimes he breaks down and cries, says he knows he needs real help and would like to start it, but is silent about it the next morning. These incidences cause major fights, make me feel horrible and exhausted afterwards, which is damaging my mental health severely and causing me to lag on making efforts to go back to school/work. It feels like my entire world revolves around holding us together lately. I should add I grew up in an alcoholic household and the dynamic we have often replicates my parents'. I feel so sad when I realize I am living my mom's life. I always thought she was a neurotic, controlling psycho when really she was just spiraling in the midst of my drunk father. I don't know what to do. I love him more than anything in the world. I want to hold on to him and keep him safe, but I know that logically, it is unfair to be putting someone before myself. His mom is extremely supportive for both of us. She offers as much help as she can, but he is 22 and no one can make him take action on his own. Being that we live together, I feel so trapped in this. Right now I am at my parents' getting some space because I am at my breaking point, but I can't stay here much longer. I already had to listen to my parents' nasty fight just last night. Each time I express to him how much this hurts me, offer support, and explain what he needs to do at home, he seems to be upset and ashamed and remorseful, but no changes last long enough to make me feel secure. I constantly feel unstable and my own ADHD symptoms have been so hard to manage lately. The reason I including the whole backstory was that I fear maybe the person I was a year ago didn't have the experience or self-esteem to judge what I was getting into. His alcoholism was so blurry to me for a long time amongst all of the wonderful new things I was experiencing with him. It is so hard to separate the genuine person he is from the nasty person I am looking at when he is drunk. Also, the housework/no self-motivation to seek ADHD help. I guess that sums it up. I just want to know if there is hope here and what could possibly sway him to take his own responsibilities seriously. He has the biggest heart of anyone I know, which makes me feel very lucky to have him, but I carry this secret burden around and it is killing me. I can't bring myself to tell my mom any of this, but I know covering for his drinking problem is a form of feeding it. I just already have a rocky relationship with her and we don't normally share personal things. The only person I confide in is my sister or BF's mom. If anyone has a similar experience, please help me out with any advice you have. TDLR, my boyfriend, who I live with, has a drinking problem and unmanaged ADHD.